Buying a used boat at a bargain price was a bad choice. My husband Steve is a smart, intelligent, resourceful man. I can always count on him and depend on him in any situation. With Steve, I knew I was in good hands, especially in matters such as fishing or any of those outdoorsy things. You see, I'm kind of a girly girl, and my husband, he's He-Man. And he also loves a great deal. So he was in charge, my husband Steve was in charge of a boat, a fishing boat, just, one of those little green John boats they call them. So within a couple of weeks, he had found his bargain at a pawn shop of all places. It came with it came the boat, we had the trailer, and we had the motor, all at a rock bottom price. There was just one little detail missing there. It needed a few minor repairs, and then it was good to go. Well, my adventure with this boat began on a beautiful, warm, spring Sunday afternoon. The wind was calm, the sky was as blue as far as you could see, the hint of honeysuckle hung in the air. It was the perfect spring afternoon that Southerners love to sit on the porch or to nap in a hammock, sit in the backyard, visit with friends. No, not my husband. We had to go fishing. It was the perfect day for fishing. So off we went. We ditched church, and we head to that perfect spot, his honey hole as he called it. So we drive out to the lake. It was a small lake not far from where we live. He gets the boat into the water. We get settled into the boat. He pushes us off from the bank. Within a few minutes, he's pulling on the cord, and nothing happens. The motor doesn't start. He pulls on the cord again. Still, no motor. And we are steadily drifting further and further out into the lake. So, noticing that we may be having a problem here, I suggest to my trusty husband, hey, maybe we should paddle back to shore and just call it a day. No, he said, just give me a minute. I assure you, we'll get this started. So a few more times, pulling on the motor, and it starts. So soon, before long, we find that sweet spot that he just loves. We bait our hooks. He's casting, and he's steadily reeling in fish. And I'm just sitting there, nothing's happening. I'm thinking, wow, this is just great fun. Before long, I noticed that my bait was just kind of sitting on top of the water. And I thought, this cannot be right. Shouldn't my bait be in the water? Isn't that the best way to catch fish? So I mentioned to my husband, I said, hey, my bait's just sitting on the water. I'm not going to catch any fish this way. Oh, now, don't forget, he's steadily pulling in fish. And he is engrossed in the task of fishing and catching us a great mess of fish so that we can have supper later on in the week. He said, oh, just give it a minute. You just got to be patient. Give it time. The fish will eventually bite. After about what I would say was an hour, he looks over when he has a lull in catching his fish, and he said, you're not going to catch fish that way. Your bait's got to be in the water. Well, duh. Did I not just say that an hour ago? So he takes my pole and he pulls it up and he puts a sinker on my line. And then he rebaits my hook and he says, okay, you're good to go. About that time, we looked downstream, and what did we see but a rainstorm heading our way? I said, well, great. And he said, well, I guess we better head back in. So we put our fishing gear, lay it into the bottom of the boat, and he starts again to get the motor going, and it stalls once again. And the rain is getting closer, and we notice that with this rain, there seems to be a little bit of a storm with it. There's lightning with it. So we know that we need to get off the water and get off the water quickly. And he's steadily pulling on the motor to which the motor is not starting. I'm calm. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be okay, he's going to get it started. Till I look down on the boat and I see that it's taking on water. And I said, hey, the boat's taking on water. He begins to panic. And at that time, I began to panic as well. Because we noticed that we were drifting quickly towards the end of the lake where the dam is. So as I'm sitting there bailing out water, and I'm steadily praying that he is working on the motor. He works on the motor and he paddles. He works on the motor and he paddles. By this time, we have begun to drift to the other side of the lake. Once we get within 30 feet of the other side, he gets the motor to start. And he looks at me, and he's serious. He said, do you think maybe we should go back to the other side where we are parked? I said, no, I don't. Just get me to this dock over here. Because I'm getting out of this boat, because if I can get out of this boat alive without being struck by lightning or being sucked up by the dam, then I am never getting in your boat again. So we motor on up to the bank, and we get out. And luckily for us, there was a good Samaritan there who offered to take Steve to the other side of the lake to get his boat, his truck, so he could come back and get me and get the boat on the water. Well, you would think that would be enough of an adventure for a Sunday afternoon, but oh no. As we are traveling home, just as we approach our church, somehow or another we notice, we look out our window and we see this boat passing us. And to our dismay, we realize that it is our boat that is passing us. It had come unhitched, and it was passing us rather quickly. My husband, remember I told you that he was rather resourceful. He speeds up and he rams into the boat with his truck so he could stop the boat from speeding away from us. And to our further dismay, we look up and we see that church is now dismissing, and the members of our church is getting out of church as we are having this small little mishap. So, the moral of this story, boys and girls, is that if it's a Sunday and you have church, maybe you should be in church and not fishing on the lake.